right. Hey, how are you doing today? Stephen Christopher here with Davis from Wit Digital for another awesome episode of Home Service Success TV. And today we have a fantastic guest for you, somebody that is a very well-known name in the trades industry, but didn't start out that way. Actually started out as a dental hygienist, was in an accident, couldn't quite do that type of work, and then said, okay, well, what are my skills? What are my passions? And I got to get doing something, and started in the home service company, the home service industry. And then once she realized how much she loved that industry, started to follow her passions, or continued to follow her passions, which ended up being this whole creative process, which led to where she is today, as the founder and the owner of Yellow Dog Creative, which does video for really high-end, amazing video for the home service industry, and really helps tell the story of home service companies. And she has done a lot of work for our clients, and these videos that they produce are absolutely amazing, absolutely help with conversion and help grow these home service companies. So without further ado, Nancy OHare from Yellow Dog Creative, welcome to the show.
Hello. My gosh, that was such an intro.
Yeah. Well, you've done a lot of cool things, and it's just amazing that you followed your passion, and here's where you ended up. And you ended up in this little niche of the world in the home service industry, same as us. And you're still so passionate about it.
It really is a weird story, right? When people ask me where I went to school, and because they want to do what I do, and I've never been a big degree person. Like, I think that school is super important, but I think that starting something and finishing something is more important than actually what the end result is. And if people knew, right, that never took a class in marketing in my life. I was a dental hygienist for many years. My son and I were hit by a drunk driver, and that was the end of that career because all the muscles in my shoulders were damaged pretty badly. So it was like, okay, I could either sit here and feel bad for myself, or I can figure it out. And a friend of mine owned this plumbing company. His name was Tom Swick, and he asked me to come on board and help him with marketing. And I'm like, okay, sure, I can do that. And it just evolved. Eventually, I became the general manager of Swick Plumbing, which became Swick Plumbing and Heating, which became Swick Home Services. And I worked very closely with Tom, developing our marketing, doing back then, honestly, which was something that really wasn't being done at the time, which was marketing on television. Oh my gosh, the plumbers on TV, it was like a big scandal.
So that's how you originally got into video, was for doing it for TV? Because I guess, when was this? The internet probably, don't.
No, you're absolutely right. And Davis, you're allowed to say that. As a matter of fact, we didn't have, there was no Facebook. Okay. People didn't have websites back then. If you did have a website, it was produced in someone's basement, by someone named Dan, who lived with his parents.
Right.
And no one understood it. It had something to do with Dreamweaver. No one knew it was a song. We didn't know. And they were horrible, and they were cumbersome. And this was still dial-up days, right?
Yeah. You're lucky to be able to load an image, let alone a whole video.
Yes. So he had this vision that he wanted to create a video that told the story of Swick. The name of this home service company was Swick Home Services. He wanted to tell their story, and he wanted to tell it beautifully and respectably, and shine a light on the industry as the heroes that were coming to save the day, not as the people who, were the butt of jokes. No pun intended, right?
Right.
So we did that. We literally, Tom hired a videographer and an editor and bought the music, and he made this 60-second spot and put it on broadcast television, which who does that? Who puts a 60 on broadcast? But it was like a game changer. I mean, this company, it was awesome. People would stop me.
Like a family-owned plumbing business, right? To go, have to go find, okay, how do we even buy the space for television? And you're competing with Coca-Cola and these massive brands, right? I'm sure maybe it was more regional, not national, but nonetheless.
Yeah, it was. But you know what? Tom Swick was definitely a visionary, for those companies that do traction and understand that sort of terminology. But he really had a vision, and he made it happen. And I was just lucky to be along for the ride. And then we won some awards through Nexstar for that spot. This was before they gave out Eddie's and Susie's, I mean, they kind of, so we won some awards, and other companies started calling me asking if I could provide them with the information of who made that spot for us. I'm like, yeah, there isn't anybody.
I did. Yeah.
It's just Tom and like this guy named Scott. He's like the videographer. And so finally, literally after 3 years of people calling, asking that question, I literally made it up, and someone called me from New Jersey and said, could you help us? I said, no. He said, well, if there isn't a company, could you just come out here, fly out here and help me do the same thing? And I'm like, sure, that's what I'll do. I'll fly right out to New Jersey and we'll make a spirit for you. And
at
we
the time,
did that.
you were still doing the general management.
Oh yeah. I have
like, this is just kind of a fun little side gig.
Yeah, exactly. And it was a fun thing for like 5 years. I did this for like 5 years, 4 or 5 years, working with like now 6 or 7 friends that own companies, but still we're in the hand of the GM, still doing the marketing. And now I've taken on call center manager, and I've taken on sales manager. So I have all sorts of hats going on, right?
Show, yeah.
I'm doing everything. And Tom Swick decides it's time for him to retire. He's going to sell the business. Well, at that point, I need to make a decision, right? Am I going to stay on with the new owner, which in fairness to him, he doesn't want his GM out running this other company.
Right.
So at that point, I stepped down on the day that Tom retired, and I moved to my kitchen table with the 7 companies, and the rest is history. So we now work with, over the years, we've probably worked over 150 companies total in North America. Yeah.
Just a happy accident, more or less. I mean.
Yeah, it was the greatest thing, right? Look at how cool this is.
Yeah,
so weird story.
Happy accidents, or you just had
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
1,000,000%. It is the old adage, right? The best stuff happens outside of your comfort zone. Million. That should be tattooed on my forehead, because that has been the way I've kind of lived my life here for the last 30 years. So.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's fascinating too. Like, there was a need there for video in the space that was untapped, and you didn't consciously, we weren't consciously trying to tap into that market necessarily. You're just like, well, hey, we had this fun, creative idea, and then got it out there and started this whole thing. And then all of a sudden,
right.
Like, people are reaching out to you, and you certainly don't have to market for yourself at that point.
Yeah. And to be honest, like, we really, other than going to trade shows,
mm-hmm.
because we have grown slowly, over the last X amount of years, we really don't market ourselves, knock on wood. We just are very active on social media. Yeah. We're very active within trade shows, but a lot of it is we have fallen into this niche that really was underserved. And we have all been very blessed that it's actually evolved very nicely. And I don't want to say effortlessly, because a lot of people work really, really hard here to make it look like it's effortless. But the concept was very effortless, honestly. Like, we didn't have a name, so we were like, okay, let's call ourselves Swick Media. Yeah, well, the home service company was Swick Home Services. Well, so let's call ourselves Swick Media. That makes sense. I mean, there was no conversation. There was no board meeting. It was literally, Swick Media. So yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Should we have a logo? No, we don't need a logo. I mean, it was that basic back then. So
that was your first, when you decided to go into the video and marketing realm, it was Swick Media. And when was it?
Swick Media, I believe, officially became a company in 2013. Okay. We were doing it for years before, but 2013 is when Tom actually, when that whole thing happened, where I stepped down and did that whole thing, right? Okay. So then fast forward, now we're actually Yellow Dog Creative, as you see my friend over my shoulder there.
Well, and I want to
hear. We have one of those sitting at our office.
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, Stephen, that I am already working on Christmas 2020 Yellow Dog presents. Both you
Awesome.
and Davis, your names are on my list.
Awesome.
You made the short list. Just saying.
That's so good.
Yeah.
I could use
So-
a yellow dog right here on my desk, just hanging.
Yeah, well, we were moved away from dogs. It's a cyclical thing, Davis. I'm sorry you weren't in on the dog thing, but
Oh, I missed the dogs?
you missed the dogs. Do you know? Can I tell the story?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it's a good story.
Do you know what I'm going to tell the story of the dog?
Yeah, I'm fairly certain I know the story.
This is the best story of all time. I love this story, and I swear to you, it is the honest truth. It was not a marketing ploy. So I decided, we spent 9 months in the world of rebranding, right? We took 9 months. We decided, this Tom Swick guy, he's not here anymore. It's weird to have some guy's name on our door. It has nothing to do with the company. And Drew, who is very, very involved in our social media presence and our overall image and branding, said, I don't care what we name the company, but it needs to have a character or an image or a thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we decided, because we have all these dogs in our office, they're either Goldens or Yellow Labs. So, and our office is on the Yellow Dog Plains here in the Upper Peninsula, and the Yellow Dog River runs through our county. Okay, so we decided on Yellow Dog. So I then put together a 6-month plan where every month for 6 months, all of our people, our friends, were going to get a gift from us to introduce the name Yellow Dog. So I went on Etsy and I found this woman in Russia who hand crochets these dogs, hand crocheted them. And it took her like 6 months. And one day, literally, I received this huge box, like a size of a dishwasher. And I opened it up and it is filled with, like, I don't know, I think there was like 175 of these dogs.
This is all hand crocheted?
All hand crocheted, everyone. And she had her husband and her children. Everyone was working on this project, right? So I had all these dogs and I said to her, Marta, I love the dogs. Please, I love them. But when we had talked, I had said I wanted them to be yellow. And they're actually orange.
Oh, no.
And I now have a dishwasher size box of orange freaking dogs, right?
So this one that you're holding is yellow, correct?
This is orange.
That is the orange.
It's orange, but the whole dog was supposed to be this color.
Okay, gotcha.
And she said, oh, Miss Nancy, I'm so sorry. You are not happy with your dogs. But in fact, they are yellow. It's just that they're puppies. And as they grow older, their color will change and they will become yellow dogs.
That was her response?
That was her response. And I'm like, freaking, number one, I want to go to Russia and kiss her on the face, because I think she's a marketing genius and she doesn't even know it.
Exactly.
She said, oh, Nancy, they are yellow. They're just puppies and they'll grow to be yellow dogs. So I totally got duped by this woman in Russia, which I thought was the funniest thing of all time. So later on, so I told everyone who got this dog, I know it's not actually a yellow dog, but the story makes it even better. The story that she is so brilliant that she totally spun it. So she later did tell me the reason why that they did not come all yellow. And it was because they live in a very small village and the yarn shop did not have enough yellow yarn. So she made the decision to go with the goldy orange color and just add the yellow accents. She, of course, didn't understand why I wanted yellow.
Right.
But that was the reason, because she didn't want to miss her deadline. So God bless her.
Oh, my God.
We have orange yellow dogs.
That is some authentic stuff right there, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
And honestly, Nancy, I can't tell it's even orange through the video. When you say yellow dog and are holding it, my brain's like, oh, that's a yellow dog.
Oh, no. When you see it in person, hey, Stephen.
Oh, yeah.
It's orange.
And it's funny. I recognized it when we opened it. I saw it was orange, but I was like, well, it's still, I don't know. It's close enough to yellow for me. I'm not a creative person. I'm not a designer. So I was like, yeah, I don't know. It's close enough. Like, I get it. It's yellow dog.
Yeah. Whatever. It's a dog. It's a dog. It could have been blue.
Yeah.
It was still a dog, right?
Uh-huh. Yep.
So anyways, we did this whole rollout, and every month, we sent another tchotchke type of thing, and then we announced our name change. By this point, clearly everyone knew what our new name was going to be, because we were not trying to hide it at all.
Yeah.
And then,
Well,
yeah,
I
so
knew
we
that your
launched.
name was inspired by having dogs in the office because I follow your guys' Instagram and I'll, even on your website, you got dogs everywhere. It's like, okay, they're dogs.
Dogs are everywhere here. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't know that there was kind of the regional, I guess you'd call it, focus with the river being there, the Yellow Dog River, and then I guess the area is called Yellow Dog. And my parents live in Michigan. I've never even heard of that area, so it's funny.
Yeah, well, we're way up in the Upper Peninsula, up by Lake Superior, and it's an absolutely gorgeous area. But yeah, so anyways, there's a couple multifaceted reasons why we came to Yellow Dog. But
Yeah.
yeah, something fun.
So when you changed from Swick to Yellow Dog, obviously you kind of rolled out the 6-month plan to kind of inform people and go through that. What did you guys have to, what did you do from like a rebranding stance from your website, from, I guess, I don't know, all the different, like, what did that process look like for your guys' company?
Well, it was a lot of man hours.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for me, the team here, because everyone here they're marketers, so we have able to get the website changed over. The biggest thing, our own graphics team came up with the logo. Mm-hmm. I was actually sitting in a McDonald's with the son of one of my employees, with Jackie's little boy Silas. I was sitting in McDonald's with him, and over his head was this dog jumping up to bite a Frisbee. And at that point, we'd already decided on the name, but we hadn't come up with the actual image, on the logo. And I took a picture of it and came back to the graphic design team, and I said, this is what I want. I want kind of a reverse negative look on the dog, and like it is in this picture. And yeah, that was the end of that. That just kind of happened then. So it was, I will tell you, it's a very expensive endeavor. Mm-hmm. I had budgeted $90,000 for the rebrand, and we spent all of that.
Yeah. Wow.
So it is not for the faint of heart. It is not for, if you're going to do it, my only advice is do it right. And you got one chance to do it and knock it out of the park. And not to be all, oh, look at us. But I take pride in a lot of things we do, but I really take pride in that name brand because we knocked it out of the park. Like we were over the top. We have not had one person question or wonder. It was been, the team here really did a great job making sure that it was flawless, seamless.
Totally. And that's partially why I asked you, is because your branding is everywhere. And it's, when I think of Yellow Dog, I can picture the yellow dog, right? Mm-hmm. Like you guys own that brand, whether it's an email correspondence with you, or obviously, I mentioned your social media, your website. It's just pervasive, I guess, throughout everything that you guys do. And so it's really successful in that way. And I also, the fact that you're a designer, or you're kind of your brand manager at the time, was like, I want a mascot. Like I want something that people can hang their hat on, visually and emotionally.
Yeah. And right down to, let me see if I can, hold on. I'm sliding out of you for a minute.
Okay.
But I promise I'm coming right back.
So Nancy, I know you can hear this as you're grabbing that. One question that I have that you can think about and either answer now or you can think about it during the rest of the interview is, what's one thing that you would have done differently in hindsight, if anything? Like what's something that didn't go well or didn't go right that in hindsight you would do differently, or just even advice that you would give somebody looking back?
The one thing that I did not spend enough time on, without a doubt, was dealing with my state and making sure that all of that was converted properly, because like my workers' comp and all of that, even though I had the articles of incorporation for the new name change, I didn't realize how much time and energy would go into changing all the back stuff as a business owner. The taxes stuff, the unemployment stuff, the workers' comp stuff, the insurance policies, all of that. And I felt like I kind of had a really good grasp of what needed to be done, like a checklist. And I have a business coach. Her name is Jen Wallner, and she had a list for me of all, but there were still things that got missed. And like 4 months after the name change, I got, I would get like an invoice still to Swick Media, or something would get sent to someone and it still had Swick Media on it. So there were definitely things that I missed, without a doubt. But
good insight.
I think, I think overall, but that stuff that you don't really think about, you just, pay your 941 taxes. You just do it every 2 weeks. I didn't get that stuff in order, I don't think. So I did a lot of
creative, and you were focused on the creative aspect of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
And we're too small. I don't have a CFO in-house, or, an accountant that can handle all that stuff. In theory, I probably should have brought someone on just to help me manage that project, but I just figured it out as I went, and it was fine. I mean, they didn't care they didn't care what name was on the check, as long as taxes were getting paid, so.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I was going to say, when you talk about, when Drew wanted us to come up with a name and a mascot, if you will, he wanted to do that so it would make his job easier on social. And, as right down to, like, our business cards are tennis balls. So this is like just one example, right? And there's our dog. If anyone's wondering what the dog. There's the dog. So Drew said, okay, like we have a toy room here for the employees' kids, and we call it, the puppy place. Everything is dog related. Everything is, like the tennis balls. And so we try to really play that up in everything we do. And it has worked into a really seamless, cohesive marketing campaign. It made it a lot easier.
Oh, totally. And like I said,
That's
it's
awesome.
like something that people can hang their hats on, whether they're, they see your truck come out to film their fleet, and it's,
Mm-hmm.
the whole thing. I'm sure you can kind of get a little bit silly with it, like hand out doggy bags and all that. It's like you got to maybe hold back on some of that.
Yeah, I'm the one that tends to be kind of weird and nerdy about that stuff, where the rest of the team, because I'm the old one, I'm 52, the rest of my staff is all under 30. So they're the ones like, yeah, no, Nancy, we're not going to do that.
I do the same way. Just like, this is probably a bad idea, but I
yeah.
thought it was funny,
Yeah. So they hold me back a little bit, but they're really good about, they know what they're doing. I just let them tell me what to do, and that's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Davis, what do you think? We have time with an expert when it comes to video and telling a story and telling a story about a home service company. Nancy, let's pick your brain a little bit for these home service companies that are listening on video, because I think a lot of people are afraid of doing video. I know, at least I run against that objection a lot, as they like, oh, I don't know what to film, and I only have an iPhone, and can I do it? Or do I have to hire somebody? And what does that take? And what's it going to get me? But let's give some insights into, like, how do you make a great video? Like, are there some different key elements? And share with people, can they use an iPhone to start to at least get something? Because I mean, Davis and I can tell you from a marketing standpoint and SEO standpoint and social media and all that, you got to be doing video. So let's just get that out of the way. You need to be doing video. So Nancy, tell people how to start that if they're not quite ready to hire somebody.
Yeah, video is king, right? That's what's going to help every platform you do if you add video content. But it's not everyone is at a point where they can hire a crew to come out and spend 3 days shooting at your company. A, you can't afford to shut down your company. B, you don't have it in your marketing budget, if you even have a marketing budget. You cannot be afraid to take out your iPhone and talk to your phone. There's a lot of ways to shoot a really good video, and the only lesson, or the only rule, is be sincere. Tell your story. It doesn't have to be funny. It doesn't have to be shticky and perfectly planned. It's okay if you sneeze in the middle of it. It doesn't need to be edited out. Show your human side. Tell your story. Tell the story of your company, and be sincere. And I'll tell you what, it will be well received every day of the week. Especially since COVID, I think people have turned, even the companies that we work with, that we've been out there 10 times to shoot at their company, they turned, because we couldn't go there. We couldn't go and travel. So we've helped people buy equipment. There are little microphones that you can sync to your iPhone if you're worried about that. Not that it matters, but if you have $200 and you want to get a stand and a mic that might work a little bit better, absolutely, we can help you put that in we can bring, share screen with you. Go to the B&H is actually the website where we buy a lot of our stuff. And I will create like a wish list, a shopping cart for people, and then they can just go in and buy it. But if you stick to the rule of being sincere and truly doing that to tell your story and help people, it will be well received every day of the week. So you can't be afraid to try that. And they're not all going to be perfect. When I look back at the commercials we started making back in the day, they are cringe-worthy. But that's all we knew how to do at that time, right? And they were very effective because it was better than nothing, So I really encourage people to don't shy away from having a video made just because you can't afford the professional crew. And you know what, we're doing the exact same thing. We're trying to tell your story for you. The only difference is we have fancy cameras and stuff. That's really the only difference. What you say and what's in your heart is going to sound the same on my camera as it does on your camera. So just get it out there and give it a whirl. I think people will be really surprised, really.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Nancy. And I know personally, like I run into the fear, when I'm creating a video or whatever, that it's going to like be on my timeline or last forever. So I often actually personally at least feel more comfortable just creating a story. So like whatever happens to be going on in my day, like create a quick video of that, or even just take a picture and, with a caption, just to kind of like, again, like what you're saying, tell my story. I might, some people might find it interesting, some people might not, but either way, it's just kind of putting that out there and giving people something to engage with and think about. And if with the stories, I don't feel that hesitation that it's going to last forever. Like it only lasts 24 hours, it'll be gone, whatever.
Yeah.
People probably aren't going to think about it after they see it. Maybe they will, but most likely they're going to move on to the next story.
Right.
But it's a way to kind of engage with, my friends and family, I guess, from a personal note, but also from the industry standpoint with customers and like, I'll be scrolling through Facebook or through Instagram and, see a company that's just is dealing with a ridiculous AC install, or it's like been installed sideways. Like, and I don't, I'm not a HVAC guy, so I don't know, but I can tell looking at their picture that looks like a hell of a job.
Yeah, right.
And even for somebody like me, it's like, well, that's kind of interesting. And then, go 5 or 6 stories later, it's like them ripping it out and putting it back in, and then all this crap behind it. And I'm like, well, I didn't know that any of that was involved in this job.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I probably am more similar to, with this HVAC scenario, to the customer. It's like, maybe that's in my attic, that same situation. Like, I have no idea. Right. So it's just little things like that are fascinating and cool.
Well, and you make a good point, both Facebook and Insta with the stories. I mean, this is our society, right? We're flipping. You're not married to anything you do. And I think is there a place for beautifully cinematic spots? That absolutely there's a place for that, but it doesn't have to. I guess my thing is there's a place for that, but don't sell yourself short and feel like you have to be there or nothing.
Totally.
There's a lot of in between that we can certainly, talk people through. And anytime I do these interviews, anytime I do these podcasts, I make this statement, and sometimes people actually take me up on it, but you don't have to work with Yellow Dog to pick up your phone and call me. You don't have to be a Yellow Dog partner to say, hi, Nancy, I'm a 2-man shop from Oklahoma. I don't know what I'm doing. Can we have an hour conversation?
Yeah.
That's my greatest day when I have those people, and I may never hear from them again, and that's okay. So reach out to people who can help you if you don't know the answers, because it isn't as hard or as scary or as expensive as I think a lot of people. If you're going to make a decision on marketing, make that decision based on facts, not on what your fears might be telling you. Right. I think oftentimes people would be surprised at how inexpensively they can do something like that,
Totally.
Yeah.
Well, Nancy, this has been awesome. And the story, I love your story, and I love the whole yellow dog element. And I think it's really helpful for people to hear from an expert about how you don't necessarily need an expert, right?
Yeah,
You don't
you
have to be a
don't.
perfectionist.
You don't. You really don't. But
Not fall into that trap.
at the same time, please reach out and ask a question. I mean, there's a lot of people in this space who really truly love the trades. We love this industry and we're very passionate about it. And it isn't about a bottom line for many of us. You know, it really isn't. It's because we want to help people, just like people in this industry do. So, you know, reach out, ask some questions.
Awesome. Love it. Stephen, you want to give us a recap?
Yeah, I got a couple takeaways. First, Nancy, why don't you share how people can get a hold of you, how they can best reach you?
Yeah, so there are actually two Yellow Dog Creatives. So if you Google Yellow Dog Creative Marquette, Michigan, it is yellowdogcreative.com is our website. If you reach out there and you scroll down, you're going to see the entire team in pictures. And if you click on my picture or any of the team's pictures, that picture flips around and all of our contact information is right there, including my cell number, which I put there for a reason, because we don't have marketing genius ideas Monday through Friday. It sometimes happens on a Sunday afternoon. So,
well, I'm sure after this video, your cell phone's going to be absolutely blowing up.
That's okay. I love it. If I'm having dinner with my family, it'll be on silent. So don't worry about bothering me. But yeah, just, you know, reach out, visit the website. It's probably the easiest way. The office line is on there, but, and there's also a contact thing where you can send an email and it comes directly to myself, Drew, and Jackie. All three of us get that. So if people want to chat, and again, it's not a sales thing. I swear to you, if you just really want to chit chat, it's not going to cost anything to pick my brain.
I love it, Nancy. And that's probably why we get along so well. We do the exact same thing. And I tell people over and over, I'm like, I promise, just call. Don't feel bad. I promise that, you know, I enjoy this. Davis enjoys having these conversations. It's okay. Yeah. Just reach out. So for you listening, I promise if you have questions specifically about video, if you have fears, if you feel called to reach out to Nancy, please do so. I've known her for years. I promise she means what she says, and she loves talking about this stuff. So definitely take advantage of that. It's not every day that you get to talk to the leader in video creation and storytelling in the home service industry. So take advantage of it. All right, let's do a little recap of kind of my biggest takeaways from this, because I got some really good ones today.
Okay.
So go with the flow. That's my first one. And I think as entrepreneurs, we sometimes forget that, you know, we got started a lot of times in what we are doing by going with the flow and then choosing down that path over and over and over again. So just like Nancy, I mean, she started as a dental hygienist, had a, you know, a really unfortunate accident, but went with the flow and then ended up in a home service company and then continued to go with the flow and then ended up in video and media creation and got to express her creativity there. So just remember, continue going with the flow. That's really important. And sometimes we forget that as we get further and further along in our business. If you do a rebrand, biggest takeaway, do it right. Take the time, spend the money, spend the time, do it right from the very beginning. You know, we used to be Sequus and we rebranded to WIT a couple years ago. I can absolutely agree with Nancy on doing it right the first time. Video is king. If you're not currently doing video, you need to start doing video. And I would highly recommend, if you're listening to this, start today. Don't wait until tomorrow. Just take your phone out right after you listen to this, turn it on yourself and record a quick little video, like 60 seconds, 90 seconds, a couple minutes, whatever it is. The nice thing is that you don't have to actually share it, but just record the first video. Start getting into the habit of recording that video. Just tell the story of how you started or where the company's going or the vision. Just tell anything about it, but get in the habit, because video is absolutely king. It helps a ton for marketing on social, SEO, website, everything. So get in the habit of doing it, because video is king. When you do that first video, some of Nancy's biggest points were, you know, talk to your phone, just start, and be sincere and just tell your story. So don't worry about it being perfect. Just be sincere, be yourself. If you cough, if you sneeze, if you pause, if you hesitate, if you say or and, don't worry about it. Just get going and just be sincere. And then I really like this. This is the last piece. Make decisions based on facts, not fears. So with video, for example, it's easy to talk ourselves out of picking up our phone and doing video because we're like, oh, well, maybe, I don't have the budget to hire somebody, so it's not going to work that well. But that's a decision based off fear and not fact. And the facts are the facts. Video works extremely well. You got to be doing it. Make those decisions based on facts, not fears. So, Davis, that's what I got today. Nancy, thank you so much for the time hanging out with us on today's episode of Home Service Success TV. And make sure you tune in for the next one, which will have another absolutely amazing guest for you. Have an awesome rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody. See ya.